Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We're a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your identities are welcome here. Welcome to visitors and newcomers. We're glad you're here. And those online, there's a preschool playroom open throughout the morning for young ones. And then after service, you can join us down in the Commons for refreshments and fellowship, where you can find ways to get involved in the life of the church and the community. Thank you to all those who donated in February for our monthly justice partner, Hawthorne Helps. We collected nearly $3,000 for that work in the community. Thank you. Supporting folks through Hawthorne Education Center. And our justice partner for March has been Planned Parenthood in Rochester, providing critical holistic care in our community and beyond. So all of our offering today goes to that work. You can give us a plates pass or anytime online. If you were here last week, you know we shifted our offering a little earlier in the service. Very radical, I know. Very confusing if you're used to the rhythm of the service, or maybe you didn't notice at all. But if any children are here, and during the welcome, you can come up, there's a small bowl of coins. If you'd like to participate, if you forgot your coin, it's the last Sunday we'll provide it, so you have to bring your own coin next time. But there's a little pot of gold up here if anybody needs a coin to put in the offering plate as it passes, so all are welcome to join in on that. And then join us Wednesday night for supper and programs. This Wednesday, I'll lead a spiritual practice forum exploring Lectio Divina, which is an ancient practice of finding depth in one short poem or reading in repetition and reflection together. So all are welcome to that. Supper is at 5:30, the forum at 6:15 with childcare. All are welcome. And next Sunday, you can join us at 12:30 for an old school potluck, an old school church potluck. You can bring some food to share as I bid farewell for a few months, going on sabbatical, and Reverend Ruth McKenzie, who I'll co-lead next week's service with, will begin as sabbatical minister through mid-July. So all are welcome to celebrate that and say goodbye a little bit. I'll be here for a few days after that, but next Sunday will be my last Sunday. So I hope to see you there. 12:30, potluck is the way to celebrate that. And you can find these on the back of your order of service. These events, including a trip to the Marine Art Museum, the potluck, Armchair Travelers, and others, or find information in your e-news as well to stay connected. And this morning we have a special announcement from our wide welcoming team. Jade.
Good morning. I'm Jade, and I have the pleasure of announcing a congratulations to our entire congregation, for we have successfully completed the 5 practices of welcome renewal for 2023. We give ourselves a little round of applause. The letter states sincere congratulations on your ongoing commitment to the tune of 23 years. To the LGBTQ plus welcome and inclusion in and beyond Rochester, Minnesota. It was a pleasure to read about all you have accomplished and the powerful work you have done to ensure that First UU is meeting the needs of queer and trans congregants in the wider community. I would like to personally thank the Wide Welcome team for coordinating with the staff to ensure these 5 practices are met. I've had so many people ask me, what is Wide Welcome? And these are the practices that Wide Welcome ensures our congregation does. First of all, becoming a welcoming congregation since 2001. There were 2, this is for 2023, there were 2 welcoming worship services with Wide Welcome themes. 6 welcoming days of observance, and on that note, we have one coming up on the 31st, which is Easter Sunday. That's International Transgender Day of Visibility, and we'll be celebrating that as well. And then Pride is another example, and then there's a bunch of others. Welcoming religious education. There was a Moose Jaw Queer Caucus that happened in June, and I think we had about 8 people present for that. That was a very unique inaugural caucus for Moose Jaw. And then supporting a welcoming project. And I don't know if y'all remember, in last May we shared the plate with the P-Fund Transcend campaign, and that was very successful. So those are some examples of the things that we're doing. I would love to have you join us. If you have any interest, come find me after service. And thanks again for everything you all do. Thanks.
Thank you, Jade, and the wide welcoming team for helping us continue to be the community we want to be and to keep working on it as we go. Finally, I want to extend a welcome and thank you to our guest musician, Sarah Hoffmeister, for being here today. So glad for you sharing your gifts of music this morning. Welcome. And your little child is in the building safely as well. So glad we could offer that. So I invite you to take a breath as we enter our time of worship this morning. As we begin with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. Just a moment, the opening hymn, which is in an insert in your order of service, will call us back. But before we sing, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you and come get a coin if you need.
flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It is an everlasting flame for this community. It offers warmth for those who are cold, provides light for those who would see. It purifies and transforms this sanctuary into a sacred space, and this congregation into a sacred community. May this flame burn true and high and strong.
In gratitude, we'll receive the offering. This morning, Amy can't be with us. She might appear a little later in the morning, but I'm with you. I'm so sorry that it's just me. But I want to invite the children forward to have a little experience up here and show you some things. So you can come on up and find a spot where you can see these bowls up here on the table. You can come on up. There's also some coins still. So I want to tell you, we're entering a season right now. We have entered a season for our Muslim neighbors and friends of a time called Ramadan. And maybe you've heard or read or know a little bit about Ramadan. It's a season that can happen at any time of year, kind of shifts, sometimes in the spring, sometimes in the winter. And one of the unique practices of it is Muslim people will fast or not eat food other than water during sunlight hours, and then have, at the end of day, when the sun sets, a meal to break the fast. And the part of the reason they do that is that it's a time to help every time you feel kind of extra hungry. Do you think you'd feel extra hungry if you were practicing that, not eating during the daylight and then waiting till the end of day? It helps them remember how much their body is tied to the food and earth, and it helps them remember what do they need and what might they not need. It helps them think about what's most important in the world and in their life. And I had a friend once who said his favorite time for Ramadan to be was December, at the end of December, because that's when the daylight hours were the shortest. So he didn't have to wait so long to eat till the end of the day. So these here there's a chime and then two kinds of singing bowls. And why they remind me of Ramadan, and sometimes they're used to help focus your mind. Does your mind or heart or body sometimes feel so full of thoughts or feelings that you kind of can feel too full sometimes? I know I do sometimes. I think about all the things I have to do maybe, or I'm thinking about all the tasks I have to accomplish, or I'm thinking about feeling all the things inside me. Maybe I'm super happy or excited about something, or maybe I'm super anxious or worried about something, or some other feeling. And sometimes our bodies, our minds can feel really full. And these are very old practices where you make a sound with one of these, and the whole idea is that it slows you down. So when I make a sound with some of these, I'm going to invite you to take really slow breaths. Can you practice? All of you with me too? Take a slow breath. Slow breath. And every time you hear a sound, take a few slow breaths. And the idea is that it helps kind of clear your mind or clear your heart of all those extra things you're carrying, to make a space for you to remember what you love most or what's most important to you. Sometimes we call that practice meditation or prayer. That opens you up. So I'm going to go from small to large sound makers here. So this is an old chime I got from a friend years ago. It makes this sound. So ready to take a breath? You try to listen as long as you can to the sound. This is another singing bowl that has a striker, or this little stick that you hit gently, hard enough to hear it, but not too hard. And this one makes this sound. So ready to take a breath? One more. This one will really help clear out your mind and heart and soul. It's made out of a crystal glass. So there are two ways to do this. I'll do it two ways first, all right? The second one has a lot of vibration to it. The first one is softer. It's a deep sound. Ready? Then you can continue it like this. whenever you feel like you need some space in your heart or your mind or your feelings, maybe you can find your own little meditation bowl or chime, or if you're in the midst of a busy, loud space or day, sometimes I put my hands on my knees like this, and I just take a big, deep breath. You can take that with you anywhere. So we're going to sing the Children's Benediction, and you're going to spend some time with Chantel this morning. It's on the back inside cover of your gray hymnal. And we'll sing together.
In March, Laurel and I plant seeds in the house for our outside garden. We always overplant. We start way too many. We've pretty much resigned ourselves to that. We use electric warmers and trays and lights. To me, it's one of the most joyful things you can do. It seems simple. Sprouting seeds in nature or in farms, it's so ubiquitous that we hardly notice them. But we know that the germination of a seed is an amazingly complicated transformation. When the conditions are right, this sleeping object, alive but not quite alive, wakes up and starts growing. It organizes itself, makes flowers and fruits, and eventually more seeds. It's a cycle, the result of millions and millions of iterations, trial and error, changes, adaptations, predation, symbiotic relationships with other plants and with animals. All of life depends on it. This tiny, delicate seedling is the very embodiment of hope. It is the sheer love of life that kicks itself across the cold barrier of winter to start over and wake up in a whole new body. And you could say that the seed is simply following its instructions, that it doesn't know what it's doing. Sure, but do any of us know what we're doing? Do we know why we get up in the morning and do what we do? Why were you born? If you have a goal or a purpose in life, like raising a happy family or doing meaningful work for other people, is that really the purpose? Or is that the means or the expression of something even larger? Something in your body or in our collective body? What is happiness for? I think that helping that little tomato plant to grow is so joyful because that plant wants to live. And even though its wanting looks so different from my wanting, just like my wanting is different from the dog's wanting, it's the same wanting, that urge to wake up and live and be alive. Just to be here. And each of those living little seedlings in the tray has its own separate existence, and also they're expressing the same joy together as one body. We can see from evolution that there is a continuity to life and to different forms of life. Beefsteak, mortgage lifter, basil, beans, birds, fish, and mammals. We're all separate, but are we each totally separate? Each species and creature? Or are we separate sprouts in a tray? When the conditions are right, the tomato seed wakes up and takes up the full life of the tomato plant. And it wakes up again as false leaves, and then later as true leaves and flowers and fruit. Waking up is being alive. It happens all along, and all life is as precious and delicate in its own way. And I'm sure that I am waking up in that seedling too, and so are you, and everyone, and everything else besides. Anyway, that's why I overplant.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to slow down enough to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Ronice Donovan, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us. And if you are experiencing those challenges in your life, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care or personal pastoral care, please reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. And after next weekend, Reverend Ruth will be filling in for Luke. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. We revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. And this morning, please hold Gerald and Marv Mitchell in your thoughts. Gerald's mother, Anna Houston, 89, of Rochester, passed away on Wednesday, March 13th, of pancreatic cancer. She had been in hospice care since mid-February and was moved into their home a week ago. A celebration of life will be planned for sometime in April, and we hold them and all who knew Anna in our hearts. And after coping with several medical issues over the last few months, Kathy Yoss has now entered hospice care at Charterhouse. She is resting comfortably and enjoys eating ice cream with chocolate sauce as she listens to her daughter Jean read all of your cards of love and care. We wrap her in our arms and send strength to her family during this tender time. The Cards of Support list that is compiled weekly contains several members and friends of the church who are experiencing those challenges or happy times, and is posted in the entryway of the church, as well as through a link in your e-news. We provide cards and postage, and we welcome you to leave the cards that you write near the basket downstairs, and we'll take care of the mailing. Here, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith is our focus. Let us carry that out into the wider world. May the faith in the Spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Above you the sky, and beyond that the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath you yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you're named and known as beloved. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God and Gaia of many names and beyond all naming. There is a quiet that happens, a hush sometimes, that comes just before or just after the intensity of noise. Maybe it's a hush after some wonderful or some hard news. Maybe it's the breath we're trying to catch among the frenetic agenda of the soul of holding this and that and all the other things. Help us lean into the quiet moments, the hush or the pause or the breath in the midst of all the noise, so that we might notice the spaces of quiet that give life and breath and air to the mind and the heart and to the world, like the gift of night to balance day and the gift of silence to balance breath, the gift of pause or rest for transformation to be possible. We hold in our hearts this day all those who suffer in mind, body, or spirit. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own heart this day in joy or sorrow, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all the names and all the places we hold, may we all be held in love and grace. These words of meditation are from Kazim Ali for Ramadan, an invitation to finding abundance in simplicity. You wanted to be so hungry that you could break into branches. You have to choose between the starving month's 19th, 21st, or 23rd evening. The liturgy begins to echo itself, so why does it matter? If the groundwater is too scarce, one can stretch nets into the air and harvest the fog. Hunger opens you to illiteracy. Thirst makes clear the starving pattern. The thick night is so quiet. The spinning spider pauses and the angel stops whispering for a moment. The secret night could already be over. You'll have to listen very carefully. You're never going to know which night is sacredly reciting and which night recitation is just mere wind. All sacred. May that be so. Amen. The hymn is Grieve Not Your Heart. It's in the gray hymnal. I invite you to remain seated as we sing together.
A reading from Rosemary Watala Traumer entitled Transformation. I need a rainstorm on the inside, the kind that relentlessly pours, the kind that rearranges everything, leaves nothing untouched. I need a deluge that drowns out any voices that would offer easy answers. I need a cloudburst to flood everything I think I know that carries me until I, too, am current. Have I gotten so dry inside, so brittle and sure? Give me a gully washer, the kind that scours and remakes its path as it flows. I want it, and yet when I feel the first drops, I scramble for the umbrella, as if it would do any good. There it is, petrichor, earthy fragrance of change. The big rain will come when it comes. There will be no stopping it then. A reading by Barbara Crooker entitled In the Middle. In the middle of a life that's as complicated as everyone else's, struggling for balance, juggling time, the mantle clock that was my grandfather's has stopped at 9:20. We haven't had time to get it repaired. The brass pendulum is still. The chimes don't ring. One day, you look out the window, green summer. The next, and the leaves have already fallen, and a gray sky lowers the horizon. Our children almost grown, our parents gone. It happened so fast. Each day we must learn again how to love. Between morning's quick coffee and evening's slow return. Steam from a pot of soup rises, mixing with the yeasty smell of baking bread. Our bodies twine, and the big black dog pushes his head between them. His tail is a metronome, 3/4 time. We'll never get there. Time is always ahead of us, running down the beach, urging us on, faster, faster. But sometimes we take off our watches. Sometimes we lie in the hammock, caught between the mesh of rope and the net of stars, suspended, tangled up in love, running out of time.
It just didn't sound right. Something was a bit off. Try that again, the conductor said, seeming a little annoyed with the choir. Top of the page. Halfway through the line of music, he stopped the choir again. Nope, he said. One more time, from the top. Same spot. Baton dropped. Face scowled a bit at us, and he simply asked, "Was it raining when you came to rehearsal?" He said this in a room much like this one, no clear notice or opening of what was happening outside, so he really wasn't sure. It was starting to, a few of us said. Thought so, he said. Your pitch is flat. He said, relax, use your diaphragm, don't strain. You're going to have to loosen up to stay in tune. The way to adapt to the change of the world and to that tune was not to scowl or work harder, but to loosen our clenched muscles or furrowed brows and let the air flow through, to use our diaphragm for support and raise our eyebrows, a surprisingly controversial thing if it works or not, but the general idea is to lighten and open, not to constrict and force, for the air and the notes to find their way. What the conductor was doing was naming something I had grown to know too, that changes in weather, in particular barometric pressure, it seems, are connected to the body and how we feel the air in our bones and bodies, and apparently whether or not singers and choirs go flat. Some know it in how their joints or aches act up in this or that weather. Some know it in a quite common experience just based on cold or hot climate, wet or dry seasons, like on the skin or in emotions or one's mental health or movement. The change in weather or seasons affects us. Growing up, my favorite time to be active out in the world, bike or play or whatever, was on the slightly more humid evenings. To be clear, not too humid, but just enough in the evening in summer, probably because it felt a bit like freedom, but also because something about the sky and the air itself seemed to transform a bit. And light changed, and the air was soft. It allowed joints and limbs to move as in very light water, lessening rigidity and resistance, moving more smoothly, easily in some way, like I was held by the air. I've also known that experience growing just a little older. I did this just this last Wednesday night in a regular and lovely meeting, but I could feel in my neck the change of the weather that I couldn't see outside. It's something that I know. Oh, the front's coming through now. I feel it here. And just like my brother and my grandmother before us, and perhaps generations past, we can feel that. And for some reason, for my brother and my grandma and me, it's naproxen sodium. That's the only medicine that we can find that helps ease this quite manageable pain. It's weird. And now knowing my context here, I'm sure I'll have some medical theories or suggestions about why this all is, and I welcome those, some insight. But in the realm of spirituality, this makes complete sense to me, that we are connected to our ancestors more than we know, that we're connected to the air and the earth around us more than we know. The soul and the heart, literal and metaphor, are connected to the earth and the stars, literal and metaphor. And if we're lucky to be surrounded by or have found our own inner wisdom, we find a way to attend to the changes around us and within us with as much ease as the silky air of a summer night. I need a rainstorm on the inside, writes the poet. The kind that relentlessly pours, the kind that rearranges everything. I need a cloudburst to flood everything I think I know. That carries me until I, too, am current. That carries me until I, too, am current. The ability to adapt or shift or change, to move like current in the mind or the heart or the body. The ability to resist sometimes the tendency to control or craft or rigidly define things of how the world ought to be able to move through the world in a way that responds to the world with as much grace as possible. That's the hard work of the soul. Sometimes it's the extremes that cause problems. Most often, it's the extremes that cause problems. Like the bolts that I was trying to remove from an old family bench, trying too hard, forcing something that was not going to budge, just leads to destruction of drill bits or wrenches or top layers of skin or whatever. You try to force it, or you try to find some chemical or something harsh, when in fact, a little time, a little heat, a little cold can loosen things. Or like when the maple sap, like Stephanie mentioned last week, fell from the tree onto the slide in our backyard. You think, oh, I need some sort of chemical to get rid of that. The good old American way, just put chemicals on it, toxic mess, smear it around, it'll clear it off. That's not true, it's not correct, and I'm learning that. All you need is some hot water, just pour it on there, it goes away, you all know that. But it's funny sometimes that we think so harshly first, before wisdom comes stretching back to you from long ago. Sometimes we work so hard trying to force with harshness a certain way for the world to be, instead of a bit more ease, of moving with change, finding our way amidst tension, choosing wisely the things that take immense effort to change and the things to move with. Have I gotten so brittle and sure, writes the poet. I want to be a gully washer, and yet when I feel the first drops, I scramble for the umbrella. Sometimes even in our attempts to take things easy, to not worry about so much, let things go, be mindful of what we can't control, even if we know that, instead of letting the shifting air move, we scramble for an umbrella or some protection from the elements, some barrier, some shelter from change. And we try to keep our little part of the world as unaffected as possible. Sometimes I wonder if one of our greatest tasks as Unitarian Universalists, or more broadly, as people trying to be good or at least decent human beings, is to help create spaces and ways of being in the world that have less rigidity, a little less harshness, to define borders of who is welcome where, how we define things like gender or identity, like pluralism in our spirituality. What if there was more than one right answer, one right way of being? To remember to question our rigidity and logic, because we know the best science and math and poetry are more expansive than we often assume. In the middle of a life that's as complicated as everyone else's, writes Barbara Crooker, struggling for balance, juggling time, the mantle clock has stopped. The pendulum is still, the chimes don't ring. But sometimes we take off our watches, sometimes we lie in the hammock, caught between the mesh of rope and the net of stars. I want to take just a little time here to teach you a song that I learned as a gift from a colleague that was sung to a group of ministers. You might have similar settings or circles that you are privileged to be in, places where the people in your circle just kind of get it, get what you go through, get what you do in the world, whatever it is, understand in some unique way your life. Be they work colleagues or a volunteer group, maybe a book club or a circle of folks here at church, or a group of folks that you know that hold your identity, your story as sacred, with honesty, with openness. And that was this circle of colleagues for each other in a time of great weariness and a time of grief, of holding and losing a beloved colleague. And this song came as a gift, knowing that we were all holding so much. And part of our ability to show up for a better world is knowing when to loosen our tight grip to control things and let go of what we can let go. So this song is from Allie Halpert. I'm going to invite us first into just listening to a little bit of the singing bowl, like with the kids, to loosen our breath a bit. The song goes like this. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Sing with me. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Once more. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. And just that part. Let go, let go, let go. A couple more times. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go. Sometimes the work of letting go, of loosening, is simply naming what we have the ability to let go. As simple as it sounds, loosening a bit is what the soul needs to make some space in our life to know what we can let go of, to notice how the body holds tension just enough to be in tune with the world around us. Sometimes a little flat, but the world is shedding tears from the sky sometimes, and perhaps we shouldn't be in perfect tune. But to adapt our tune to the song of the world around us, to know our skills and tricks and tools to care for ourselves and each other in the midst of change, and to loosen and to let go, to hold on and to be held by the things that bring love and justice and joy. The hymn is My Life Flows On. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing.
Life flows on in
invite you, as you're comfortable, place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or earth in gratitude. Go yonder, and gather the people. Give them not hell, but courage and hope. Give them something of the love you have found here, and tell all the people that love is our home. Amen.